Welcome to episode 5 of INTERPROM Inspired Uplifted with Business Relationship Management. I'm your host, Mark Rovers, and I will walk you through episode 5, Leveling Up ITIL's Relationship Management Practice. And we're going to level up the ITIL 4 Relationship Management Practice with the help of something that the Business Relationship Management Institute has put forward in its body of knowledge. And to introduce you to one component of this body of knowledge, I'm going to use the business relationship maturity model, or relationship maturity model, as we can find it in the business relationship management interactive body of knowledge. And as I said, this is part and belongs to the nonprofit organization that's called Business Relationship Management Institute. I'm going to walk you first through these 5 relationship maturity levels before I explain to you why I pointed these 2 arrows at the 2 different levels here in this relationship maturity model. So let's start with what is a level 1 relationship maturity model, relationship maturity that is called ad hoc. Ad hoc means this trust is apparent. There's little or no trust in this relationship. People avoid each other. There's little or no contact. Contact only happens when necessary. And you can absolutely say this relationship is broken and is in need of a lot of help. Yes, it happens. Yes, it gets better at a level 2 relationship that is called order taker. Trust is still lacking at that level. Bad experiences have resulted in loss of trust, and the business partner, let's say marketing or sales or manufacturing, depends on provider services like HR and IT or finance and legal, but in essence is placing orders. The business partner is placing orders, as in, I tell you what to do because I know what's best for me, and you just say yes. I don't want to hear no, right? You take my orders and you do. You do as I say, in essence. The provider in this case, HR and finance and legal, they operate in a very reactive culture. They wait, in essence, for demands, for requirements, for orders, and that's why it's called order taker, in essence. I'm sure you can sense it's a little bit better than level 1, but it's still, not the healthiest relationship, especially because it's reactive. Service partner level 3, things are getting better. The business relationship is now turning from reactive to proactive, and there's a mutual understanding and transparency between the the parties involved, transparency and understanding of processes and practices, services, products, and capabilities. It's all being established at that level 3. And you also see the first signs of value that is provided by the provider, let's say HR or IT, to the partner, the business partner, let's say marketing or sales. The first signs of value are becoming apparent. There is communication going on between these 2 that results in meeting needs and expectations. Relationships really depend on meeting needs and expectations, and that's happening now at that level 3. And the service provider, let's say HR or IT, is even willing and able to commit to documented service levels. They're willing to say, we can turn this around in so many hours or so many days, and commit to that on a repeat basis. Yes, so the provider is able to demonstrate consistency and repeatability of service quality, in essence. And that's huge, of course, for any relationships, when you can depend on the other party that they're consistent in their delivery. Level 4 is called trusted advisor. Level 4 is where trust is becoming a big deal. As we all know from common sense, a relationship that is based on trust is a fantastic relationship. Yes. So it even goes a step further where one considers the other as a trusted advisor. When decisions have to be made, the party is called in and say, I need your advice here because you steered me in the right direction many times in the past. So I would like you to do this again. Value provided in that relationship is becoming of strategic importance, and it also means that the parties involved start to get a much deeper level of knowledge and understanding of each other's practices and capabilities. So therefore, that advice given is actually then of value because you know each other very well. Trust is based on a mutual understanding between the two. In other words, trust is key in that level 4 here. Icing on the cake is level 5, strategic partner. Now, that may seem something as in we all want to be there, but let's not get too hung up on level 5 since it's quite an endeavor to get to level 5 because at level 5, both parties involved know each other inside out. Yes, they know each other's practices and they know each other's services and processes and you name it, inside out. Speak the same language, the same taxonomy, the same acronyms, as in deep level of knowledge on both sides. Capabilities actually have converged, they have become one. It's very difficult to draw a line between the capabilities of the provider organization and the business partner. Same for strategies have converged. Yes, in other words, they are becoming one almost. You see also at this level, accountability is something they never talk about anymore. They talk about shared ownership, as in sharing ownership of risk and rewards. They share in the strategies, I already mentioned that. They share in capabilities. So there's a huge convergence happening at this level, as I was mentioning. And then culture is very value focused. In other words, it's all about value. Value for each other, value for whomever is depending on whatever the organization is doing. So this relationship maturity is enormous, and I have to say it's not for every organization. It takes a while to get to level 5. Yes. Now, having set the stage with these relationship maturities, I also then hope that when I talk about ITIL 4 and say ITIL 4 as a practice aims to establish a common approach to relationships and relationship management, yes, but it introduces a so-called service relationship journey, and where ITIL says these practices of relationships, service relationships, can found in practices like service level management, supplier management, workforce and talent management, organizational change management, and service desk. What was a little bit of a surprise to me is that ITIL never mentions anything along the lines of value management. It does say service value, obviously, but it doesn't take it beyond that value management approach to make a whole organization become more value focused. Yes, it limits itself to service value, which of course is to be expected given that ITIL is about services. What was also surprising to me is that it didn't go to strategic practices as far as these relationships, service relationships, are also important in practices like portfolio management or financial management. And if there are such practices around strategy management, demand management, architecture management, or governance, in other words, these more strategic practices also highly benefit from strong relationships, but they're not mentioned in ITIL 4. So also success factors. I'll talk about that in a moment. As far as how do we measure the success of relationship management? Are quite limited, to be honest. And I'll tell you in a moment why I came to that conclusion. There's no mention of connecting relationships to results or unlocking the value potential of thriving relationships. ITIL doesn't take us that far. And it limits itself, unfortunately, to two processes, as in that are part of the relationship management practice, that is managing a common approach to relationships and managing service relationship journey. It seems like that this relationship thing is happening somewhere in the organization, but not throughout. That was something as in I picked up on, where we find relationships when it was referring to other practices. And also, if you look at, the two relationships itself, it appoints some people to manage the process and then practice the process. It doesn't go beyond, as in this is something for the whole organization. So looking at taking into account what we just talked about, you see that ITIL 4 definitely can help us to get to level 3 relationships, maturity of relationships, enormously helpful. Yes, so let's not forget about that. But to get to a level 5 relationship, we definitely need to leverage and benefit from what the body of knowledge of the BRM Institute has to offer when it is about sharing ownership or when it is about convergence. And even more when we think in terms of the BRM capability, which I explained in the previous episode of this series. So to sum it up quickly, level 3, transparent relationships, focus on metrics and shared service value, definitely where ITIL has a lot to offer. Also the BRM Institute, to be fair, but to get to a level 5 relationship, you definitely have to switch and shift focus and look into the body of knowledge of the BRM Institute. To compare the practice of relationship management in ITIL 4 with the BRM capability of the body of knowledge of the BRM Institute, there's 8 perspectives here that I've put forward that I've also explained in a previous episode. So I will go over these a little bit quicker, where the focus in relationship management for ITIL 4 is on service value streams, while the focus of the BRM capability in the body of knowledge of the BRM Institute is on the relationship-centered organization, as in this is something for the whole organization. The approach is on relationships, about relationships, where the approach in the BRM capability is about satisfying purpose, driving value, building partnerships, and evolving culture. You see that it elevates this whole relationship management aspect to much higher and different levels and perspectives. And as I said, I've explained this in greater detail in the previous episode. Success factors, relationship health in ITIL 4, while the body of knowledge says it's about the triple bottom line of an organization: people, purpose, and planet. As in, relationships are good for the whole organization. It's a little bit more holistic, actually, if you think about it, which I'll talk about in a moment. It's oriented around stakeholders, yes, where the body of knowledge talks about partners. It feels a little bit warmer, right, when you talk about partners than when you say there's a bunch of stakeholders. It's just me personally, maybe, but the environment for ITIL 4 is definitely hierarchical. You see that there are owners, there are practitioners, there are doers. It feels a lot more hierarchical when it's about introducing this practice than this holistic approach, as in everybody plays a role here. Everybody is a business relationship manager and should be proficient at managing relationships and making relationships healthy. Yes, that's the approach of the body of knowledge. The working method, it's definitely following the RASCI model or RACI model, where accountability is the word that is being used, where that's not being used in the body of knowledge. It's about ownership, sharing of ownership. To get you to a level 5 of relationship maturity, accountability is gone. Accountability can lead to finger pointing, blame games, as in you're accountable, it was your mistake. While in level 5, a relationship in the body of knowledge is about sharing and ownership, sharing successes, sharing in failures. Employees are stakeholder and value driven, while in the body of knowledge, focus on being purpose driven. And finally, the culture, definitely more control. ITIL is very keen on using words like reviewing and monitoring, as in control elements. And then where the body of knowledge refrains from using those words and says it's all about trust. Yes, trust is key in any relationship. Looking at these key success metrics, like I promised you, it's eye-opening to see what ITIL 4 puts forward as its key success metrics for its relationship management practice. It says measure employee satisfaction, measure employee turnover, measure customer satisfaction, measure customer turnover. In all fairness, there's a few more they introduce, but the very fact that these four are being mentioned, it shows that success is about employee and customers. And you may say that is huge, absolutely. But if you compare that to what the body of knowledge has to say, where we need to unlock the innovative aspects in any one of us by giving everybody the freedom to make sure that every idea, suggestion, recommendation we have is being captured because there can be more value coming from it. Value for the organization, value for our consumers, our customers. It says here that relationships need to have a strategic relationship plan. In other words, relationships are strategic to the organization, and having a plan behind it to make relationships healthier, more mature is what this is all about. Because the better the relationships we have between people, between us and others, the more successful we are in our organization. So let's put a structure around that to make these relationships more successful. Organization needs to have strategies, lines of business need to have key performance indicators. There needs to be a multi-year business capability roadmap to execute on the strategy that we have as an organization. And we should have plans to drive value, to articulate and accomplish business value. If you look at the key metrics here that the body of knowledge puts forward that can come from relationships, business relationships, you see it goes a lot further than happy employees and happy customers. Yes. In other words, it has a little bit more substance to this than let's do some satisfaction surveys to put it a little downplay that a little bit as far as what ITIL 4 is suggesting. So if this is inspiring to you, as in, you know what, there's something to it that I was talking about, consider these additional piece of guidance that we've put forward through awareness and training and workshops, but also coaching and practice labs in which you can practice what the BRM Institute has put forward. These are additional things for you to consider to level up what you have accomplished with ITIL 4 relationship management, if you even got to level ITIL 4 relationship management. Because in all fairness, most organizations adopting ITIL have somehow limited themselves to operational processes, have done great things and have accomplished a lot in that space. But when it's about practices such as relationship management, it's often an afterthought and it's something that is not considered. While in the body of knowledge, you'll definitely see it uplifts that aspect of relationships and say, not only operationally, but also in tactical levels, strategic levels, we can benefit from having fantastic relationships, and therefore, as an organization, we're better off, but also whomever we're servicing and delivering to is better off in essence. I hope this was inspiring you. I hope this was something that you will consider as far as there is a body of knowledge. Read up on it, watch these episodes, and see if this is something you would consider to become an even more successful organization. Thank you for watching, and looking forward to seeing you at a future episode.